Hi, this is Freedom from Condo Planet. I want to welcome you to another episode of our video series on real estate investing. Today I want to talk about what landlords of Square One condos for rent should be looking for. When it comes to leasing Square One condos for rent, there are many steps involved in screening for good tenants. You have to ask the right questions over the phone when pre-qualifying them. When you meet the tenants for the first time, it's also important to keep looking for the top signs of troubled tenants. And let's not forget about taking the appropriate measures to reduce the chances of tenant fraud. It's helpful to keep your emotions in check throughout this tenant screening process. It's a common mistake for landlords of condos for rent in Mississauga to overlook crucial steps when evaluating a prospective tenant's application. Landlords often do this because they start to rely on a good feeling about the tenants in question. This good feeling can be very deceptive. Though you need to trust your intuition, you have to stay objective enough to verify whether the facts indeed confirm what you feel to be true. It's important that you satisfy the logical side of the equation and not just base your decision on your gut instinct alone. What should you be looking for when assessing a tenant? You should simply be looking for anything that does not add up. The rental application form that tenants fill out is their version of the facts. As a landlord, you need to do detective work. You have to verify the legitimacy of those facts. If something does not make sense, it's your job to dig deeper until you're satisfied. Or if something that the tenant does indicates that he or she will be difficult to deal with, be sure to consider that as well. I think, from my years of experience, it's very important that you take any red flag seriously. When there's one thing that's hard to accept about a tenant, the chances are very high that there are other things about this tenant that are going to cause problems for you. For example, if a tenant lies about the amount of money he or she makes in his or her application, it's an indication that this tenant is likely lying about some other things as well. Behind every application you receive for Square One condos for rent is a story behind what has led a prospective tenant to your doorsteps. You need to evaluate this story to see how real it is. Is what the tenant says about his or her past accurate? Are the present circumstances as described in the application real? If the tenant's being honest, that's the final step. If the tenant is being honest, would that tenant make a good tenant, given all things considered about him or her? These are the things you have to ask yourself. We can get into the nuts and bolts, and we will in future videos, about all the mechanics in conducting a robust tenant screening. But ultimately, it all boils down to this. If you see any red flags, verify them. If you're still unsatisfied, you have to reject the application. The risks are too much in taking the wrong tenant. That summarizes this video. Thank you for tuning in. Take care.